Howdy, everyone. If this thing is working.
Is your microphone on?
It is officially on. That doesn't mean it's working. There is a short delay.
Oh, we're sideways.
I hate everything. It's just it.
So hard on that. Oh boy.
We tested it 3 different times, and all 3 times we got it correct. It's correct on my phone. There's no way to move it.
I have no control over that.
All right. There we go.
Oh, okay, that's just what we're stuck with.
4. I switch to that. And
That's terrible. Oh boy. We're gonna have to go with that.
I apologize. It tells me this is wrong. It says orientation locked, rotate device back, because we're set up to be in horizontal. We selected horizontal. We tested horizontal. It appeared in horizontal. And now it's telling me vertical is wrong, but the internet shows different. So,
Find a way to both be in this.
there we go. Make the best of it. I apologize for our lack of technical prowess. Welcome to our live Sunday evening here at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here.
We're here.
So we had a small list of random things we were going to talk about. Mostly, though, we wanted to answer. We know there was a bunch of people that had questions that wanted to jump on and ask questions. If you put them in the comments, they're somewhere. We'll go ahead and answer all the questions.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, what was your list of things?
You had the list.
I didn't have the list.
Where's the list?
There wasn't a list.
Right.
Didn't write down a list. Tell me about your day.
So today's Sunday. We did market. There's the big market that we go to every Sunday, which we love. It's a really good size. If I had to give it an approximation, let's go with like one of the super Walmarts as far as area, like the big huge ones, and it's all just different booths. There's a local area where you can buy things that are grown locally. Mostly you get your platanos, your bananas, your pineapples.
Pineapple.
Oh, we love our pineapples.
Pineapple, bananas, new bananas.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a whole relationship with a pineapple vendor. It's their first year. They started a whole new project. They did an entire hectare of pineapples. They're delightful.
They're really good.
Really good. And they're cheap. They're 3 for $2, and then she always gives us a free one. We give her stuff occasionally. We give her cookies for Christmas. It works out. She always gives the kid a tiny one. Like the tiniest, it's like an apple-sized pineapple, and
just makes him so happy.
It makes him so happy. He has his own little pineapple. He goes and he has his own little cutting board and his own little knife, and he goes down and they're actually really delicious though. They're better than the big ones.
They're really good.
So yeah, so we did the market.
Yeah, it's our normal
got
Sunday.
our staples of things that we need to survive. That's how people in Ecuador exist. There's a lot of little tiendas, a lot of little stores. Everything works a little differently. Your supermarket-based society, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all an outdoor market.
It is. It's huge
Rain or
outdoor market,
shine.
which is pretty. We're tall. We know that now.
I'm not.
I'm like 58'7" or something, because all of they have their canopies, and then they put up extra plastic to, like, because rain, sun. You got to keep the sun off the vegetables and the fruits. So they'll set up all these like plastic, and there's strings that just run everywhere. To, like, you can just tie to any other booth, to a rock, to a stump, to a booth way over there. It's like 50 feet away. You tied a string across like a main aisleway to, like, pull out your plastic.
Hit my head on it.
Yeah, it catches, like, she puts her hair up and it's like watching a jet land on an aircraft carrier. Just snags it.
It's the only time I've ever felt tall in my life.
Oh my gosh, we're huge. We're huge. So short people, if you move to Ecuador, you won't feel as short. That's a weird noise.
Strange animal noise.
Strange animal noise.
There's a bat. There's a bat.
Did you turn on Mrs. Piggle's light?
Yes. Pretty sure we're going to check that.
If you haven't seen our Mrs. Piggle's video, that's worth checking out. So we have a problem with vampire bats. They're tiny and annoying. Yeah, it's on. And they sneak up, and then they'll chew on her, like, her ear.
Ears. They like ears of pigs.
Occasionally another part. They look for heat. And they'll just make a tiny little, nobody even notices. Their teeth are so sharp, nobody even wakes up. Occasionally it's a piglet. So we built a bat trap a year ago, and we caught a couple, but it's only so big, and you have to literally catch them and then spread poison on for them to take back and like kill the colony, and we had limited success with it. They're considered a nuisance here. So.
Okay. And they do spread rabies, or they can.
They can. And once rabies spreads, apparently it takes off through
all the livestock, all the animals, everything.
This is a worldwide problem. It is not special to here. But we have our little reeling camera, which we love. We can just click the button, we check on the pig. Here, I'll show you right now. I'll do it super low-tech style. So I open the old iPad, and I click on the light.
Which is an added light, not just for nightlight.
Yeah. That's super blown out. So that is with her nightlight and the camera light. You can see that. And there is a sleeping pig with piglets. Now, we figured out that when we turn that light on, and that is the dimmest light you could ever imagine. Like, you go outside, you're like, is it even on? It is a single tiny, like, almost like, it's about as bright as like your VCR had for a power light. It's really not much. So you see that, like, it's really dim. I'll go in and I'll flip it off. And I will show you again once it turns off.
I don't know, it's stuck on now. I don't know what you're doing. Yes, vampire bats will bite people.
They will. So if you go camping, you just have to have a tent. There we go. So it turns off. So now what's left is just the tiniest amount of light. There's two LEDs, one points left and one points right. We figured out that whenever we would turn on the camera and it would turn the light on, the tiny little light, boom, and the bat's gone. They hate light. And I'm like, that's like the weakest light ever. So we just left the camera on. Like, you can't control the light, but you can tell it to record. If you record, then the light is on. Problem is, recording 24/7 burns up a ton of battery. So we did that for a week.
Yeah. And I kept them away.
Yep. And then with batteries getting low, so we turned it off, boom. And then we checked the pig like an hour after dark, and there's a bat on her ear.
I actually saw the bat and watched it like fly away.
And as soon as that light turned on, no noise, no nothing, no other alert, just this tiny little LED, it took off. So we built the bat light, which is a couple of giant lithium prismatic batteries and two little LEDs and a little little waterproof assembly. We flip it on every night. The battery is good for, I think I figured out about a year before I have to recharge it. It's sort of overkill. That's it. Problem solved.
Yep. It's a little silly, but it works really well.
Yeah.
For now, and when she decides to go sleep somewhere else at night, we have no hope.
Yeah, at some point that she'll stop sleeping under her cover, and then she'll just go sleep out in nature, and then...
Yeah, and we can't control it.
Oh, Guayaquil online.
Yeah.
Hi, Guayaquil. So we did that video not that long ago. For people that have cattle, that they can bring them back into a barn or enclosure, it's probably a legitimate strategy, is just a few little LEDs around. LEDs, when you look at them on a wavelength basis, on like a spectrograph, sunlight is this big, beautiful, soft curve of all the frequencies, your reds, your greens, your yellows, your blues, the whole thing. And your eye sees all of that. LEDs, if you look at it on a curve, it's like nothing, this one, and then nothing again. But in that one little frequency that it outputs, it is crazy high amplitude, which makes, you notice LED flashlights, when someone shines it at you, it's dazzling and it's painful. But then you look around, you're like, it's not actually that bright. So that's kind of that same effect. And it's apparently very, very upsetting to the bats.
Which is good.
Sweet. We use that to our advantage.
You want to upset them. Yeah.
All right.
So that's been working well.
That's been working well. We just did that video.
Things are doing well.
It was, a $0 project build. Piglets are doing just fine. We had to look at one today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was fun.
They're getting feisty.
Turns out, and we didn't really have this problem before, but this time we did. Piglets are born with like tiny little sharp like fang milk teeth that like stick up. So when they go in for milk, they just take their head and like knock their neighbor, which...
Well, they actually fight each other.
They fight each other, right. And they're like, mine! And those tiny little teeth goes poke, 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 and they just poke holes in the other piglets. It's, you should never hand newborns weapons.
Yeah, I don't know why that was...
Nature, yo.
Ever designed. Man.
So, unfortunately, because of the environment, the flies, a few of them got some issues with it. And one of them got real bad with fly strike, so it got infested with fly eggs, and then the whole side of its face just sort of like disappeared. Like it was just open, like it was just so missing from like jaw to almost eye. We're like, oh my god, like a day, 2 days. So we had to go and take care of that one, put it back in.
That was a while ago.
That was a while ago, and it's been healing, and it's mostly gone. Like a while ago, a week.
Yeah, because they're not that old. And then I was watching her, and she's like scratching on stuff, and it was bleeding, and I'm like, oh, something's off with this one.
And it looked mostly closed, and it was on the outside, like this huge wound. It just healed up in the mud.
Things heal so fast.
But there was an internal
in her mouth.
So we had to go in, and she sat there holding the piglet in a towel with tweezers, and like tweezed all the little maggots out, and then put a little medicine on, a little anti-parasite stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully she kicks it all this time and she heals.
It's not fun.
So that was part of our day.
Oh yeah. Stealing piglets is great fun.
Stealing piglets, we're gonna have to get on video at some point. Mrs. Piggles does not enjoy.
Oh.
And because we raise them out in a natural setting, they can just run away. Or Mrs. Piggles can come up and just...
I'm standing there with 1 foot inside the fence and 1 foot outside trying to reach the piglet.
She'll come up and just no. And she'll put her in front of, like, between you and the piglet. And she'll just...
No. Okay. Try again later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of our day.
So...
That's fun.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm. What else do you want to talk about?
What else? If anybody needs a lovely little goat, let us know. No shipping. Local. But we have a little goat that we're selling who's just a gorgeous little mini Nubian cross. Male.
Buckling.
Little buckling.
Yeah.
Random.
He's very, very cute. Very sweet.
Very soft. He has crazy soft fur.
I don't know what that means. And do you hang? I don't know.
I'm going to need more.
More context there.
More context.
All right, what else do you want to talk about?
Let's see. I don't know.
I don't know.
I was kind of waiting for
Questions?
questions,
Thanks.
people.
Yeah. Fun? I don't know. Have your neighbors had that kind of experience?
Oh, with the bats?
Oh, the bats?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a problem. They bite the cows. It's a continuous problem. I got one neighbor I talked to who's like about as old as Jesus. I don't know his name. He's just the old man who lives in this one house, and he didn't like us for like the first year because we're just new. I ended up attending a funeral of a neighbor when his son died in a moto accident, and then we sat and we talked a bunch, like at the funeral and things and stuff, and then we actually talked about bats. He goes and he takes some watered down detergent, some sort of detergent, and he puts it in water and he throws it on the back of the cows so that the back of the cow stinks like whatever industrial detergent, which apparently upsets the bats. Now,
but it would also upset me.
It upsets everybody. It's probably not good for the cow skin, and then it gets rained off. So it's a continuous problem.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best. I mean, I guess it works. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you hunt?
Hunt.
No.
Hunt. We've been trying to catch a rat for a long time.
I don't think that's hunting.
Yeah. Here, didn't bring anything to hunt with.
There also isn't that much to hunt.
We just had a paca run through the driveway.
It's not that much to hunt.
Dog gets mad, starts growling. There's a thing. Paca. Size of a good-sized dog. Face that looks between dog and rat. Kind of pointy.
It is the second largest rodent in the world. Second to the capybara.
Yeah,
kind of looks like a capybara, but more rat-like.
They eat fruit and things and annoy the dog. I hit one with a rock.
One growled at my feet.
Yep.
In my tent and didn't like it.
Yep. Inches.
Yep. Didn't enjoy that. Not our friend.
No. So yeah, we don't have anything to hunt with, really.
No. How is the electricity situation there? Power cuts still happening? No.
Not here.
Well, I don't think they are at all. I was just reading a bunch of just news updates about Ecuador, and it's pretty much done. I think there's a few places that are still having like hour or two cuts, but basically everything will be over like next week. The rain has come. Yeah.
Rain has happened. Rivers are flowing. So I'm pretty sure that's like done. We're off grid, so it's one of those like we only notice when we go to town. We're like, phone doesn't work again. Like, why does everybody have no lights? Oh.
Are you very familiar with the northern parts of Ecuador, specifically San Lorenzo?
No.
No, we're not. We're really not. We decided on southern Ecuador and really never considered anywhere else.
Yeah, there was a few things that drew us to southern Ecuador. Loja was where we started, and then we bounced around southern Ecuador a bit. But as far as non-proximity to volcanoes and crime, and just generalized temperatures, that's sort of how we ended up down here.
You get away from the coast, you get away from the borders, you get away from big cities. That's pretty much how we ended up here. How's the house building coming along? Oh,
it's up there.
It's just
on the hill. I was leveling I was working through the kitchen area with the Lampa, and I think I put it in a quick update in the video I did the other day. And we left the floors just slightly sloped because we don't know how long it was going to be that way for drainage, and it's been that way for
a while.
So I was up with the Lampa, and I got strings and levels, and I actually started chipping away and restacking and getting the floor nearly dead, which I figured out that is better to do without the roof. Now, if you're building something, you go in, you flatten the floor, you pound it, you're done, you're out. Because we're taking so long and doing it without any money, I can use time. So by chipping away the floor and then filling in the low area, when it rains, everything now self-levels. Once you've stopped water flowing, you stop the channeling, you sort of stop the erosion, the water just sort of hits, and then eventually gets full enough that it will flow off. But it flows so slowly that everything settles out, and it self-packs, all the little air gaps go away, it becomes a perfect, flat, hard, level thing just by natural rain-sun cycles. So I was doing that. Really just need a roof.
Yeah, otherwise I think we've sort of paused on the house because we just can't do anything else without a roof.
The walls we're putting up, unfortunately, are because we're only doing the first layer. It's not super weather resistant yet. Like it's dog.
You really need a roof for the process to make it weather resistant, which is sort of
you have to do it, and then you smooth it and you dry it. And part of the weather resistance is the actual surface, the sheen of it. Like if you get it smooth, it massively stops the water ingress. So there's that.
We are paused on the house, more or less.
We're doing little things here and there as we're like, yeah, I'll keep reflatting floors. I've got I still have half a bag of cement, so I can do a couple little like wall bits. It's pretty much a pause just for finances.
No, he does not go to school outside of the house. We homeschool.
Lack of the Spanish.
Well, I mean,
partly
we would homeschool him regardless.
Yeah.
We did in the States as well, so it wouldn't be any different here.
So yeah, lack of Spanish is part of it. There's also he would be limited to what is being taught in the class, which is he's so far beyond his age appropriateness.
And he has. My belief is that it is best to teach to each individual child's abilities and interests, which school just can't do.
Yeah, he
has certain specific crazy interests and then certain things where he needs more support, less. Like it's just individual learning.
Yeah. So we'll go through and certain math concepts things, and okay, work on that, and then he'll go off and read a book on amphibians that's like graduate level. Like seriously? Yeah.
Just for fun.
Just for funsies.
Hello from southern Brazil.
Hey, where in southern Brazil?
Yes, he would learn Spanish faster than us. Absolutely.
We're terrible at teaching Spanish. I can't agree more. Porto Alegre. Okay. All right. I will look that up. Always wanted to travel to Brazil. One day, maybe. It's on my list. More interestingly, why are you watching us? What else we got over there? Oh, all right. Are my comments actually updating over here?
They are. They're updating faster than mine. I don't know what's going on.
The other night it was terrible. My comments were updating like 15 minutes behind hers. Tonight they're
I'm a long-term expat.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. There's quite a few kicking around.
Very cool.
So, long-term expat. Then my next question is, from where did you expat from? If it's the States, what state? If it was a country, like give me a little more so I can kind of understand where you're coming from on that. Oh, well, thank you. So, Americano. Oh!
You're from California. Okay.
All right. Cali kid. All right. I lived there for a good chunk of my life, just outside of the San Francisco area.
How do we earn money in general? Sorry, I laughed.
Working on it.
Working on it in so many
Really,
different ways.
our short answer is we keep having people interested, and then
something
things fall through. Our property in Zamora, which we bought with our first property, which was really sort of a lucky thing handed to us. It was kind of an inside deal that we managed to get that. Right place, the right time.
And that was our investment, a Visa property.
And while it's incredible for a vista overlooking a city, a thing up on a hill, like private road, great neighbors, like holy cow, that is not the lifestyle that we're doing now. So we need to sell it, and that will get us far enough into the future, both with building this house and almost poked you in the head, building our house now, surviving, but also some seed money to start the business that we want to start.
Yeah.
The Bay Area. Okay. All right. So I know every bit of the Bay Area like the back of my hand. I spent, I don't know, 20, 30 years there. Yeah.
Has the fuel showed up for the construction vehicles in the outside?
Yes.
It seems to be all fine now.
It was like hours day, and then it was fine, and then it was hour day again, and it was fine. I have not seen all the hungry trucks lined up.
No.
After, I don't know, it took about a week to resolve.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I never was able to actually see an update. Like, I didn't ever see a news article.
It was
anything that was
when we would drive out, and there's just trucks lined up, parked down the highway, and we're like, that's unusual. No, it seems resolved. Which
is good, because it at some point was going to start affecting food supplies and things.
There's many have said that, you know, you can look at a country's GDP and what it produces, and you can relate it exactly to consumption of diesel. Literally, like, the more diesel they consume, the more industry there is, the more energy, the more everything that exists. Diesel makes the world flow.
How long have we been in Ecuador? We're at a little over 3 years now.
Yeah, a little over 3 years. Well, 2.5 years, one in Loja. 3.5.
No, well, I mean, it was 3 in August. So.
Okay.
Yeah, a little.
3 and change.
Could you not homestead on that property in Zamora off-grid?
We could.
Well, we couldn't at the time.
That was the next
I guess
problem.
that's kind of the real issue, is that honestly now we might have chosen that property, but that property had no access when we needed it.
So it turns out many a time just going there and hiking up to it, because it only had hiking access.
And we never really got very far.
And then finally, driving away down the road, I just saw like a neighbor, and I'm like, I'll just drive down and say hi in my Spanish that I don't speak. And I did. And I went in and I started talking to people and the things and the something. It's this lovely family. They own that whole mountain. They used to own my property ages ago. And, you know, one thing led to another. And the guy just says, hey, like, let's go see if we can get to your property.
He just took us up.
He dropped what he was doing. And he has like he turned it into like a tourist thing. There's a volleyball court and a picnic table.
He hadn't really done anything yet.
Yeah.
That was before we got this property. So that was over 2 years ago.
And then he just like, let's just go hike. So we hiked up his property, which was semi-clear, and then tried to get to ours to find a better way in, because his property has a river crossing that's real nice. And ours had a super questionable bridge.
By bridge, you mean log?
Rotten log. Rotten, bouncy, rotten log. So anyway, so we had to talk through the whole thing, and it has now taken years to resolve. But after all this, they're going to give me an easement to serpentine up the hill through their 5 properties that are like long, skinny strips. And then it goes right up to the ridge and cuts over and dumps right into mine, right to the big top flat section. And the whole top is flat. Like, it's just gorgeous up there. And that's the part that overlooks Zamora. So,
if that had been the case back when we needed a property, we might have made it work. We talked about making it work, and then without the road access, we're like, we just
didn't know the neighbor, didn't know it was a thing, didn't this and that. Like, it's taking a long time to sort of resolve. But yeah,
so it absolutely could be done.
So now it'll be a gated, like, long, beautiful driveway up their property, super secure. Plus, they have a gate on their property.
They're good people.
They're really good people. Yeah, they couldn't ask for better neighbors.
Do you think you could help people build a septic system like yours to earn money? You seem to get local interest in that.
I probably could. And I've had people interested. The neighbors keep bringing people over to see it. And I'm like, it's 2 tanks full of poop, yo. Like, that's not interesting to me, but it's interesting to the neighbors. So one neighbor just decided to copy it badly. He tried to show it off. I'm like, there's a few things here like I wouldn't do, but he was just going to copy it. I'm like, I told you I'd come help. He's like, he'll just do it. Okay. Another neighbor went and had a huge, like, cement one put in, just huge cement tanks, and okay, all right. Like, they just sort of, like, did it on their own. I offered to even, there was interest for me teaching a class on solar, off-grid solar. This was before the power cuts. And then septic systems, and then the funding, to put on the class, and then they were going to pay me something. The funding didn't actually get approved, so I never did that, which would have been really, really swell.
Yeah.
Because then the massive power cuts happen, and everybody's scratching, trying to, like, stay alive. Towns full of stinky generators sucked.
It did. Starlink solar and micro hydro wind turbines open up many more options. It is very important to learn the language. My life became easier in Colombia and Brazil once I learned the languages. Yes. We recommend to everyone learn Spanish more than we did before moving.
Yep.
Honestly, we were really busy. That's the reality. We were so busy in the years before we moved.
Yep.
And trying to sneak that in was just really hard.
So I try. I muddle through it. I'll use my phone to translate certain things, and I I'll look up words and things and try to, like, my Spanish is limited, and I keep working on it. I've always had a problem with languages.
Yeah, for me, when I had Babbel. I mean, I can learn it, but the problem is that I don't have that anymore. That's just I just don't have that anymore.
Yeah, so no, the Starlink's great. I have a friend who's tested the Mini, which they're selling locally, it turns out, and it was cheap. And he said it's almost the same throughput, the Mini versus the full size. And he just got it as a backup because he had his router quit, and he has a critical process that he needs internet for. So he actually has 4 internet connections now because he literally has to have it all the time. So he has a Starlink and a Starlink Mini. He goes, it's honestly just as good. Get the same throughput. It works out great. So there was that. As far as, solar. Solar is great as long as there's sun. You can compensate with extra battery and extra panels to a point. And when you hit 4 days of gray and you can't even point at the sun, micro hydro, which actually is something that I'm working on. Pico hydro is maybe a better term. I want to augment my power system with a pico hydro, and I really want to do something that's small and easy and kind of plug and play that can be produced and taken to a lot of different areas that isn't site specific. And this is my looking at this now, how you can put it in. There's the gravity turbine wells that are high volume but low head. They do great if you have that. There's all the Pelton wheels if you have lots of pressure. Then all the circuitry to control them. If I go with a pico hydro and I get a few hundred watts, all of a sudden my batteries last really, really long. It's a tiny little unit. it pretty much solves all of our problems just by augmenting with just a tiny bit. So that's something that I'm working on.
That's in the works. You made the big step, and you're doing well from my perspective. I'm 20 years into this lifestyle. Thank you.
We generally just go for the deep end.
We do.
How's the water? Till you in, and then we just
jump in
with everything.
It's not always a smooth transition when you jump in. Sometimes it's really cold, but that's just kind of how we do things. That's our style.
Yeah.
Remember when I first said we were like, can we get pigs?
Yeah.
We didn't have a fence.
That's normal.
That's how we do things.
But here we are.
Yep. And we make it work.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
It's not like we know how to build a house.
It's looking pretty good.
It looks like a thing.
Nothing's failed on it. Like
Except
it looks
for that
like
one post.
That was I put it wrong. Like I
know.
I put a post in the wrong
But
spot.
there's nothing like looking up there and seeing you
Sneak
like rip
preview.
out a post. I'm like, why are you ripping out a post?
Yeah, I actually tore out one of the posts in the house and like moved it over like 18 inches to put a new post. It was a pain. We have a video that is coming out this week on it. If you like the changing of posts.
I was wondering about your bananas in the background. Are they ripening? What types?
Burritos.
Burritos.
That's what they call them. There's a lot of words for banana here.
They're tiny.
They're small. They have a different flavor, a different texture. Now, there's no standardization. Every bunch is slightly different than every other bunch because they're sort of wild. There's just wild variation, which we mostly enjoy. Occasionally get some that are crunchy. Pigs like them.
Yeah, not
Goats like
pigs like them.
Basically, every creature really likes the Doritos. But yeah, they're like 4 inches on average.
If that.
Let's grab one. Occasionally, you'll get them. They'll have some flavors of like vanilla, little other things.
Banana for scale. Does not work with our bananas.
Yeah, here. That's.
You have to have hand for scale for banana for scale.
Oh. I did that. It is just that big.
It's small.
Which actually I find is a better snacking size. A regular banana is too much and mushy. These are denser.
Listen, I've hated bananas my entire life.
They're
While I don't love them,
the Cavendish
I do
banana
like them.
that is the commercial production banana in the
so
U.S.
gross.
is sort of gross.
Mushy and
Flavorless.
bleh.
Ugh.
No, these are good.
Yeah, a lot more flavor.
So we always have a couple bunches.
Denser and creamier.
The yellow one. Wait, I'm backwards. The yellow one is last week's.
Yep.
And then this is the one that we got today.
Right. So if we buy a rack every week, basically by the time one runs out, the next one starts.
Yep. Constant bananas.
There is some. I found some down the road on the corner of our property. Randomly. We're going to cut those down this week. And drag those up here.
We have red bananas too.
I think those are what they call a Guineo Seda, which translates to silk banana.
Yeah.
The guy had planted a bunch here, but he put them on a cliff, and then the cliff sloughed, so then they ended up down the valley, and then they grew again. But they're called silk bananas, and they have a different flavor, different texture again.
Oritos means small gold.
I like them more now.
That makes sense. I like that.
Gold is an interesting thing around here. We're surrounded by it.
It is interesting.
We may actually be sitting on it. So there's like the biggest gold mine in at least Ecuador, if not like South America or something dumb, is over the hill that way. And I think I figured out it's maps and locations differ, but it's like a few kilometers. Like it's over the hill that we can see behind us and then in the next valley. And they're pulling out of there, they're pulling out 10 grams per ton and they're doing 5,000 tons a day. at $60 a gram. Just staggering amounts of money. And it's just this huge, this huge gold thing. Now the neighbor, that's that way. If you go exactly that way, down valley, one of the neighbors found the vein, like in the side of the creek under his property, and actually like mole man tunneled like down in and like mined the vein of gold that went under his property. We're exactly in between those 2 points. The chance that it goes underneath us is very high.
Just how far underneath?
Somewhere. Like, yeah.
Do you bake with the bananas or just eat them? Mostly just eat them. Feed them to the animals.
Mostly. Well, there's tropical jam.
There's tropical jam, you're right. You take the pineapple and the banana and a squeeze of lime, and you make tropical jam.
Which, yeah, is, do you sugar that? No.
Usually not.
Right.
If they're ripe enough bananas.
Yeah, chop it all up, mix it together, cook it a bit.
Good long time.
How long?
Till it's done.
Quantify.
Maybe half an hour.
Okay, cook it for half an hour. And then she fills these little pint soup pots with tropical jam, and that goes in the freezer. Whenever there's a good deal on pineapples, and we always have bananas, then she'll do that, and then she'll pull out of the freezer a pint of homemade tropical jam, which go on the homemade sweet potato pancakes.
Or in a pie.
Or in a hand pie. Small pie.
So good. Are you in the same drainage as the properties that produce the gold?
No.
No.
It's which is good because that doesn't mess up our water.
Yeah, we were very careful about that. That our water is safe.
Right. So our drainage is like our valley and goes down. There's a hill that's perpendicular behind us, and they're on the other side of it in that valley, which runs this way. So that drains like out, over, and around, but like it totally misses our little collection of hills as far as drainage. But yeah, the guy who's mining it down here actually works for one of the other small mines, and he has friends that work at the big mine because it's like the huge employer around here. Everybody knows somebody that works there. And they came out and looked at it and they said, yeah, this is the same vein. It's exactly the same material thing. Like you said, it's the same vein because that one just fingers out. So it's huge.
You can make a dish called chicken a la Maryland. It's chicken with bananas. I don't know about that. With bananas.
One,
we need to know more.
We need to know more. Two, we don't eat a lot of chicken.
No. We only eat our chickens.
We only eat our chickens, and mostly they're for eggs, except for the ones that don't lay eggs.
As long as you're not down the line on the drainage and you're on the same mountain, then I would be looking for it. It's gold somewhere under there.
It's, yeah, like I said, if it made it all the way to the one neighbor from there, it's underneath us somewhere. Could it be 200 meters down? Yes. They found it, they're 400 meters above us, and they said the main vein was 200 meters below the soil where they are, which, like,
but who knows?
Like,
who knows?
Does it make sort of a line from them to the guy down here? It does. I am not a geologist.
Yeah, I don't know enough to be sure on that. The mining is why I didn't look around the center parts of Ecuador.
So, yeah.
It's a double-edged sword a little bit.
It is. Now, I will say that the one behind us is an international consortium. It's a Canadian company, and it's 100% owned by them. You can always tell those guys because they show up in the nice truck with all the safety gear, with the flags and the little like flashers and the safety vests and the safety glasses and the safety hats and the matching shirts and the brand new jeans and the boots with the steel toe things and every bit of like Canadian safety gear you could imagine for anything. It doesn't matter if they're standing on the side of the road; they're in like full proper everything gear, everything. So when you look at pictures of the site, it's like it's really pretty nice and clean. They follow like a fairly high level of standard as far as their cleanliness and their. Now, the artisanal mining, which is just people doing it all over the place, or the other mine,
Maybe not so much.
maybe not so much.
Yeah. But the big mines also bring in money to the towns.
Massively. So if you look at how much, how many billions of dollars, like of gold that they bring out,
and jobs, and which are sorely needed.
1,800 people, I think was the last number I saw work there, and good jobs. So the money that it's bringing into this part of the country brings up the entire economy, and you can tell that there was a level of sort of like poverty that existed, and there just wasn't a lot of industry here, and all of a sudden with the big gold mine, there's a lot of money. There's people that work there. They have new cars. There's all the roads are nicely maintained and graded and
yeah. So it has its downsides, but
yeah.
I like making banana bread.
Mm,
Weirdly enough, the little Aritos don't make the best banana bread.
they don't.
The texture's off.
They're dense.
So I'm looking forward to the other ones because I want banana bread.
Yeah. And that would be the ones that we have down the hill, like silk bananas.
They make really good banana bread.
Taste better than your traditional American banana.
They have the right texture for banana bread.
Yeah.
What do you use for fuel when cooking? Propane. Propane is cheap.
Yeah. It's I want to say it's like per gallon in the U.S. like $3.50-ish, depending on where you are, a gallon. So to fill a barbecue tank, which is like 7 gallons, I don't know, maybe you're $25 to like fill a barbecue tank. Someone can correct me who's in the States. The ones that are here are 40-pound tanks, which are double. So it's the taller style tank. They're everywhere.
What everyone uses for everything.
It's exchange basis. There's no, you don't own, like you own a tank and that you literally get a tank and then you just exchange it.
Yeah, there's no refills.
No, there's no refills. So you just exchange them. The official price is $1.65 for 14 gallons.
Yeah.
It's really cheap.
It's so cheap.
The delivered price, if the guy brings it on the truck, and the trucks will drive around, they won't come here because, but they'll go a few kilometers down the road, is about $3.50. So for $3.50, they will drop the tank or several at your door. Now, I'm told that you only get 2 at the $1.65 price because that is a subsidized price, but the guy on the truck doesn't care. He will drop as many tanks as you ask for.
Yeah.
At $3.50. So even at $3.50, you get
so cheap.
14 gallons. So we have one that runs our shower out the back. We have one that runs the stove, and we have one that we use for
everything else.
Whether we're smoking meat, which we just did a big batch of bacon, or for burning wood, or sometimes you just need fire. Fire is actually.
I ate the termites this morning.
Needed
fire.
Huge pile of termites, just a thick. What do you call it? Icing?
Yeah, he said it was like the icing in a cake.
Ooh.
Yeah, I went up this morning before we left to milk the goats and feed the pigs and stuff, and Eli went with me. And I went ahead of him up our path. And I'm like, what is on the ground? And there's just like inch line of termites coming at me. I'm like, okay, I got a project for you.
The kid's actually quite adept with the flamethrower.
Yeah, surprisingly.
He'll haul the tank up there. He'll get the torch. He'll light it. And he'll just blow flame until they're they're all gone.
Yeah, and we had boards stacked up.
We did.
Which
We
was
left.
stupid of us.
We
knew better.
We had to extend our little like walking bridge to make like hand truck bridge for wheels to get the pig down the hill.
And we just left them there.
Things we do, and we left them there. So we left the boards stacked outside in the environment. So people here, I grew up like if you want boards, you stack them inside a roofed thing, something like. Okay, we don't have a lot of extra roof space. So the neat thing I found that people do here, and I've tried it, is they'll take two trees. I get in front of the camera, and they'll set them up like this. They'll run a board in between them up high, and then they'll just lean. Maybe this is better. They'll just lean all the boards against this one, and they'll just stagger them 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
So they're never up against each other. There's always space. There's
always space to the ground, to the air, to like you don't even lay them flat like this. You put them like on edge, so they just barely touch on an edge, and only a corner. This is so hard. Only a corner hits the ground. Now that little corner is going to rot because that's down in the dirt, but it's too open for the bugs to really get in and make a home. Nobody messes with it. So all the people that stack up wood will stack it like that, yep. Even without cover, and it drains enough and it dries fast enough and the bugs don't touch it enough that it's not really worth it to go to a better standard of like more covered storage.
Yeah, because as soon as you stack, whether it's covered or not, even if it's covered, as soon as you stack 2 pieces of wood together, you're going to have ants or termites.
You put anything on the ground, something will live under. So the carpenter, he has some of those, but he also has like full dry storage. He'll stack against his house. He's got stuff in his greenhouse all stacked up because he needs it like bone dry for. Yeah. He builds beds or furniture, doors, floors.
All the things.
Yeah, table. You tell him like, I need a new kitchen table. I'm like, okay. You bust it out.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how much the pigs tear up the land, as you showed in a previous video. Never knew having a few pigs was so much work.
Depends on the size of the pig.
Boy, doesn't it?
So if we go up to the area Mrs. Piggles last was, and then we had the 2 girls that we kept in an area.
Honestly,
there's some areas where it's like she's destroyed the topsoil and it's down a little bit.
And they've made some like mud pits and things, but
it's minor, and it'll recover. And nature will brush will fall back into it, and but it's already starting to regrow since we moved her out of that. It's still there. Wilby's area. Wilby is a big pig.
He's a heavy pig.
He's at least 500 pounds.
He's a monster.
Unfortunately, he gets bored.
Feet are so big.
Yeah. So he just has a lot of pressure, and he sinks in like a cow would. But he also has a nose. Then he just like noses around out of boredom and like digs and digs and digs and digs and digs. He's also so Wilby's water is its own thing. We couldn't get water all the way up to him. We only got it like to the previous like areas. I'm sorry. You're like right there. So his water is like a little bit further than the farthest the water gets. So we have to bottle water and walk it up the hill and then dump it in.
And if he plays in his water anymore, I'm going to take it away from him.
He gets bored because there's nobody in there with him. So he has a water nipple and he just sits there and like plays with and lets water like
pours out of his face and makes this big nasty mud river pit thing.
Dude. Like it's only like a 7 or an 8 gallon jug, and like we have to carry that up the hill. And it would be
enough if he was just drinking it, but he plays with it. Well, you had to make him a special like cover because he just keeps destroying it.
He just tears. Yeah. Tears things up.
But yeah, I mean, Miss Pig doesn't really tear it up that bad. She churns it, but it's not destructive in the same way.
No, she just sort of like churns it and then
noses it and flips it and eats the thing.
Which if we could come in right after her and just plant it, and it would just be that's it. She's churned it 8 inches. Same as a plow, but she's pulled out roots and stumps and bugs and like larva things and like just like all the things that would have been a problem for a crop. She'll come in and just chew it out.
She's honestly the best at land maintenance.
Yeah.
Wilbur's just kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
But if we want the tiny, cute piglets that make the delicious bacon, we need the Wilbur.
Wilbur brings
that works.
the meat. Mrs. Piggles brings fat, but also a high food conversion rate. She will eat greens and things. If you don't feed her, she'll just eat trees. Then she'll
knock down trees.
Yeah.
Watched her knock down a tree the other day. It was so scary.
But her genetics, she doesn't. She could survive without grain.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
Wilby could not. But her genetics also do not provide enough meat to survive on.
Yeah.
For us.
So the mix is perfect.
The mix is amazing.
What do you use your solar electricity for? Is it just lights and the starlight?
Heck
Everything.
No. We don't have wires to the house here. They stop way down the road. There's a long story behind that. They actually, here's an interesting one. Remember the double-edged sword? The mine occasionally just comes out like to do projects for the community, and they offered to run the power lines all the way up our road to our house for free. Just free. And I'm like, that's a lot of money. Yeah. Like, you're going to put poles all kilometers down the road. You're going to run all the wires. You can do the whole.
They were very confused. Like, they showed up, and you weren't here. And I go out, and I'm like, oh gosh, who are these guys? And they look all official. I'm like, oh no, this is awkward. And I finally figure out, what they're talking about, that they want to like put in power. And I'm like, we don't need it. I thought they were like trying to sell it, no, we don't need it. Like, we have solar. No, it's for free. Like, free. No, we don't want it. And trying to explain to people you don't want power is.
They just, they
just look at you like, are you okay?
Are you simple in the head? Like,
Or like there's a translation error thing. I'm like, no, I don't want it.
Anyway.
Yeah. We're strange.
So we have solar. We run everything with it. We run a ton of stuff with it. We have a gianty commercial fridge with a huge glass door, like they sell sodas out of in town. It's not an eco-friendly off-grid kind of like fridge. It uses a ton of power. I really like the gianty fridge. There's no freezer. It's a huge solo fridge. We have a chest freezer. We have all the lights. We have the electric fences. We have
whatever power tools you use.
Computer, the power tool. I run all my power tools off solar.
All the appliances we need in the kitchen.
And not just little tools, like table saw, planer, like
all the things.
I run big stuff off of it. We have an aerated compost pile. The little blower turns on and it will just blow air through the compost, and we just.
Sometimes we turn the spotlight on.
Oh yeah, like we have some big spotlights that.
There's the UV light for the water.
Yep.
All the things, all the appliances in the kitchen that anyone really wants.
Yeah.
The grain mill, the meat grinder, the blender, the Cuisinart things, everything.
Yeah, we run everything off of it. That's it. If we run short, there's a generator that's an emergency backup. But we're trying to figure out how to put the puzzle pieces together. We're actually launching on our Substack. I'm actually going to do solar assistance for people that want to go off grid, at designing the system, at figuring out like the needs to get it right, because there's not a one size fits all. You can't just buy like these package systems that people love to sell on websites and hope it'll work. Also, a lot of them are dodgy. They look great, and then you find out that they really have dodgy components. They're like third tier Chinese, kind of like, it may not work. It may not be tunable, or they use like recycled batteries. Like you have to sort of get into that industry to understand how to get the good stuff and design it to fit. And once you do, it just works. It's amazing. You'll never look back and be like, we just have free power now. Like, why would we ever do something different? So we're trying to figure out how to do the pieces to where I'm doing that as a consultant basis. And then on top of that, because I have contacts in the industry, I can actually get you better prices than you could find on your own. Because I deal with people that are part of like huge wholesale accounts that just like there's just missing the middleman kind of thing. Stuff's just not getting marked up. So we're trying to roll that out. How we do it, don't know. And that's the part that I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, I know solar and I know the thing and I can do like all that, but how to set up actually, like through our website, through purchasing it, through
just the logistics of it.
Logistics.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
It's funny. Specifically funny to us. I remember when potbelly pigs were popular pets in the U.S. and people were selling pigs that got huge as potbelly pigs. People ended up with 400-pound pigs living in their suburban houses. We have some stories. Oh, now that could offend some people, but there is nothing that's quite as delicious.
The other name for potbelly pig is a Vietnamese heritage hog.
Yep.
Just because you change the name doesn't make it a pet.
Yeah.
Now, in Vietnam, to have a pig on the side of the house, they have a house, and literally we would have a garage in the States, they would have a pig pen. And they do it here too, in Ecuador, although they'll
a little further away.
A little further away. It's less crowded here. And they'll feed it scraps and things and whatever greenery, old sugar cane, something, whatever. And they just keep a pig to feed the scraps, and eventually they eat the pig. So a Vietnamese heritage hog was kept. That was a predominant sort of genetic. Yeah, I don't know, and they turned into pets. So there's a lot of people. We survived for a while off of free pigs on Craigslist. We got this pig and it was great for 6 months, and then it got big, and then we're unsure about it for another 6 months, and for the last year, it's just been living out in that pasture.
Yeah,
we don't really want it anymore.
Yeah,
but we also don't want to do anything with it
because it's been their pet, and so they're just like, somebody come take it.
And we're like, we'll take it, and they're like, that's all I need to hear.
Yep.
End of conversation. Yep. And it sort of resolves the problem. That being said, it's really good pork.
Well, and the 3 pigs that we raised in Tennessee were half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
American guinea hog crossed with potbelly.
Yeah, and they were great.
They were delightful pigs.
They were such good pigs. How big is your solar generation, and how much storage do you have?
It's a good question. Let's see. We have a 4,500 watt solar array. I have an 11 and change kilowatt battery. We use about 12 kilowatts a day. The one nice thing about here is there is no need for, trying not to elbow you in the head.
I know.
There's no need for an HVAC system. You don't need a heater. You don't need an air conditioner. It's just lovely. Our walls are made of screen.
Lovely right now.
Like I live in a t-shirt and jeans. I have no need for anything else. So you don't have the loading. As soon as you get into like big AC systems or heating systems, your system has to go up significantly to account for that. Then you get into what's the efficiency of your house, your thermal efficiency, your appliances. Because we use gas to cook on the stove and to heat water, we don't have huge electrical loads there. An electric stove, massive loading. An induction cooktop, efficient, but massive. So you just don't need it. And there's, when you look at, I had one guy, he wanted to buy a generator, a friend of mine, and I was trying to talk him out of it. I'm like, you literally could survive off a car battery and an inverter you buy from Amazon that's this big, except for your electric hot water heater. But because you have that electric hot water heater, the generator that you want isn't the one that's $100, it's $8,000. Like, it's a huge diesel generator. And it's almost entirely because he has electric hot water. I'm like, dude, I can get you a nice little gas hot water heater, instantaneous, for $100, $150. A tank of plumbing, a thing, you're out of it for less than $300. You take that load off the system, and all of a sudden, I've dropped your system requirements by like 90 or 95%. Now your solar package is wickedly cheaper. You're not buying the batteries and the panels and the wires and everything else to try to fit the thing that didn't fit your... Did you just want hot water? Like, if you just wanted hot water, let's just give you hot water. And I'm not going to argue. Like, I'm not going to say you shouldn't have hot water. But sometimes small changes can be massive when you design a system.
Yes. I nod my head at you. Yes.
Good.
How long have you been raising animals? Were you living an urban or rural lifestyle in the U.S.? I mean, we had chickens for on and off many years. So many years.
I've
just chickens on and off.
I've had, yeah.
But beyond chickens. Well, that started a couple years before
That would be a great name for a feed store.
What?
Beyond Chickens.
Chickens. This is not Beyond Meat.
Because chickens are the gateway to the, you know.
It's true. No, we had a 1 acre little baby homestead
in Tennessee.
Yeah. That we built from
was
an absolute trash heap.
Just outside of city limits, but you know, we're suburbia.
Yeah. And we had chickens and ducks and the pigs and rabbits.
Yeah.
We shoved a lot on that property. Yeah. It wasn't sustainable. It wasn't something we could have forever. We had the 1 round of pigs, and basically that was it. And we're like, well, we can't have any more pigs because there's no more space.
Interesting tidbit. If you raise pigs, raising pigs is basically the cost to produce it is limited by your feed cost. Your feed cost is locked to grain pricing. And when you look at it, you're like, you basically can't raise a pig for the price that you can buy the meat. It's going to be more. It'll be better. It's better, but it'll be more. We found a feed supply. I think it was in Virginia.
It was in Virginia,
just over the border.
In the Tri-Cities, like in Bristol.
In Bristol,
one's there.
Like just over the border, and they sold this thing called a beef maker, or this bag. Now it's cow food. However, when you look up raising pigs on grain versus pasture raising, there's huge advantages health-wise for you and the pig to raise them on pasture, if it's a pig that can eat that. So you have to get into your heritage breeds and away from your commodity breeds. But pigs that can eat pasture can eat basically the cow food, which they called beef maker, which was $5.35 a bag.
So cheap.
Versus
pigs loved it.
$25 or $30 for pig food, which was just mostly grain. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's pelletized grasses and things, minerals, stuff.
Mostly alfalfa.
Yeah, like a bit of sunflower, some other stuff. We're like, $5, you say? Pigs loved it, and it was really good for them, which improves their.
Smelled better. The difference between that and pig food, just wow. I mean, it was only an acre, so they were right outside the house, so you don't smell them. It was amazing. Right,
and then we didn't have it tested, but people have tested pasture-raised versus not, and the omega-3/6 balance is approaching salmon as far as like favorable balance, which all of a sudden makes pork healthy, delicious, and healthy,
so good.
And cheaper. I don't know why more people haven't caught on to this.
Yeah, that was quite I think they call that a hack.
Pig hack.
You should rent out Mrs. Piggles to people who need land cleared. Oh, Mrs. Piggles would not like that.
Mrs. Piggles is her own pig.
She really doesn't like anything or anyone.
She doesn't like moving. She's a very conservative pig.
She's cautious. She's quite the personality. She doesn't like men.
No, she's an interesting pig.
No.
She is who she is. Like we get along. Good enough. But moving her is.
It took like 3 days last time.
Oh my gosh! You take down the fence and you're like, "There's no fence. It's gone."
I know.
She won't cross the line, and she'll get over it, but she'll have her feet out, and then she'll just jump backwards, and you're like, "Oh, come on, Mrs. Piggles."
Yeah.
Wilby's
too big to move.
Except when he gets all sprightly, that pig can move.
I scared the crap out of me last time.
Yeah, you had some gray, and you're just like, "Oh, he's coming!" She just like books it up the hill, and the pig.
Just he's fast when he gets out of his mud.
Like fences down? Okay.
Whew.
That means that he doesn't actually ever get out, which is good because we couldn't stop him.
He got out once.
Oh,
He pushed the fence down with mud, and Eli was feeding him one morning. I was like, Wilbur's out. And I'm picturing Wilbur being out, like out in the world, out. And I'm going, this is going to be a bad day. And instead I just threw some bananas and he walked back. He's a simple pig. Let's see. I'm surprised the neighbors don't approach you to have Wilbur be Papa Pig to more Mama Pigs instead of everyone having a Wilbur.
So
I guess
here's an interesting thing. Most people don't have a boar.
No.
The neighbors who do raise pigs, either A, don't reproduce them. They'll just get one and raise it, or even the guy that raises a bunch. I don't know if he keeps a boar, or if he does, like not all the time. So it turns out artificial insemination is really common and economical here. So if you look at the cost of someone coming out and inseminating your pig, and there's flyers for like all the different like genetics that exist. You just pick it, the guy comes out and does it, and it's way cheaper than having to keep a boar. Ugh. I don't know. I guess we just don't want to.
Well, there are issues with that.
Our pig is not contained, so good luck trying to get Mrs.
She's also
Tiggles.
not terribly friendly. There's no way I'm doing that.
What are you gonna do? Just try to jump her?
Well, to be completely fair, when she was in heat, you could have done anything to her.
That's true.
She just sort of dumbed.
But that only happened when she was near Wilbur.
Because of Wilbur.
If Wilbur wasn't there,
she would have just tried to eat me.
Yeah.
She just gets nasty.
But she got close to Wilbur, and she just like she locked.
That was the last time we were trying to get her together, and we were trying to get her out of her fence into his area and close the fence, and she wouldn't move, and I'm just getting in there, just shoving on her, trying to get her in.
And we finally, and she just like she was so in heat and like standing heat.
Her hormones just took over every bit of her brain.
Like her eyes would like look over at us.
She'd look at me like, "Help me!" I'm like, "You're
like she's locked in her own body," and we finally just like
just shoved her in.
And we just
sorry about that.
Shoved her in there with Wilby and
ran away.
Closed the gate.
Terrifying.
Sorry.
Oh boy, the pigs are alive.
They hang out for a few months. It's good times.
Is it?
She really enjoys. She really enjoys just being having her own paddock, being by herself. She's a very happy pig that way.
Yes, whenever we put her back in an area alone, she just looks so happy. The energy consulting, being a supplier at the retail level, is a great opportunity. Yeah,
it is. It's a bit of a moving target because there's two sides of it. There's here in Ecuador, which I was trying to work out. I've actually put together packages, plans, exact specific hardware. I have a whole presentation for Ecuador. For the States, it's a totally different thing. There's different tariffs, different suppliers, different agreements, things that you can sell different things in different countries. And then you get into like code compliance and laws, and that becomes very regional, county specific. Sometimes you have to have certain equipment to comply with. Off-grid, I'm probably going to have to limit it to non-grid tie in the US because it's just, without physically being there and sometimes being certified in the place to do it, to connect it to sign off with an inspector. I just somebody else could take it upon themselves to do that. So I'm probably going to limit it to off-grid in the US. Falling off camera.
A little bit.
So, and that's just sort of what it is. There's still, there's a lot of people that, that want an off-grid cabin or a thing or a little homestead somewhere. Like, that's great. Like, I'm happy to help with that kind of stuff.
John, who lives in Florida, says, we will get with you on the solar info. I have a full solar grid tie-in system. Although it's not legal to be off-grid here, I so want to. And they're planning on moving somewhere in South America.
Yes, the not legal to be off-grid.
I hate that.
Hi, welcome to Ecuador. There's reasons we moved.
Yeah.
It's not legal to do things
on your own property that hurts no one.
There's a lot of places that have gone to where it is illegal to be off-grid. You can't have your own water system. You can't have your own power. You must be grid tie. You must be
Did you get distracted?
See you. You must be, part of it, even when there's no need. And then you get into the shenanigans that are happening out in California, where oh, you could put in your solar system and here's these credits and we're going to buy the power back from you. Oops, we're going to change it. And now it's more or less or things. Oh, now we're going to have an extra tax because we're not selling enough power. Wait, what? And all of a sudden they flipped it upside down to where there's like a zero or negative incentive to do solar. And then there's the problem of if there is, and you have solar, and I know people that do this, including my parents, and the power goes out, you lose your power. You are grid tie. You cannot exist without the power company's grid being on. That's the way the system is set up for safety. Now, can you install like a transfer switch? Sure, but then you have to trick your inverter into turning back on, or you have to tap into your batteries with a secondary inverter and like crazy like wire your system. There's a lot of systems that will do that, but not the ones that they're putting in for the grid tie systems.
Silliness.
Yeah. I was actually just reading up on some water projects, and there was actually a site out of England that came up, specific one I was looking at, and there's all the frequently asked questions, and almost all of them were like, oh, well, can I do this? Well, it depends on your council thing. What about this? Well, there's the new, like, you could have, it's a water wheel. Like farm use or like to make power, like, well, but then there's the Renewable Energy Act, and that's going to change things. Then there's going to be a different permit, and then there's a thing, and then there's this new, like, and it was just, can I physically do it and have totally clean off-grid power was this much of it, and everything else was, is the government going to allow me to do it on my own property? Nuts.
And when people ask, why we moved out of the U.S.
Yeah.
And to Ecuador specifically, that's a big reason.
Yeah.
There's a lot of freedoms to simply do what you would like to do on your property here.
I don't know anything I can't do.
No.
Basically, everyone's polite to everyone else. Nobody mess with anybody else. Like, stuff happens. Like, we have a neighbor who's, I don't know how far down the road he is. Like, it's pretty far. Like, we would have to drive there far. We occasionally hear his stereo. He got one of those big, like, powered speaker things, and we're just like, is that a car coming up the road, or is... No, that's a speaker.
So loud.
Yeah. He's loud.
It's not often.
But, you're allowed to do what you're allowed to do.
Yeah. I'm falling asleep.
Oh.
That's all.
But Galjolandia? All right. You're living in...
What?
You're living in Mercosur country?
I don't know.
You can sail throughout South America with little to no hurdles. That is something I need to learn about.
Yeah, I don't. All of the legalities of things were sort of flounder a lot.
I literally have a zero knowledge experience level of it's important. I need to. I'm so busy doing stuff here, the house, the stuff, like
we're
physically
spread very thin with so many different things.
But that is good to know if I could, and I have the contacts. And we've done, like the quotations things, whole shipping containers full of stuff. And I have my buddy who's in wholesale actually has like his own businesses and warehouses in China. He's actually one of the engineers that some of the big companies in China that produce solar energy stuff, they consult with him on their designs, and he like actually adds in, knows the entire industry. The dude is kind of crazy. So
okay, I
have crazy contacts with him. It was a friendship that just sort of happened a long time ago.
Oh, that would be great. I waited to see your response to the, I don't know how to say it, Mercosur? Let's see, now I feel like an idiot. Yeah. Comment. I will reach out as I know all of this in detail. Give me a few days and I will follow up. That would be amazing. Send us an email. If we don't get back to you, send us another email. Or comment or yell at us or something.
To everybody. If
I
you
feel
send
like
us an
I lose
email
so many emails.
and you don't hear back, imagine the email got lost. Not here.
I saw an email and then I couldn't find it again. So I also don't know what happened there.
I don't think the Google YouTube likes us sometimes and stuff disappears. We've had people, ask about, like, why didn't you respond about, the property for sale? I'm like, we did.
Yeah.
Where'd it go? And then we respond again, and then we don't hear back. Like, did you get our response? Like, what? So we respond to everything.
Mercosal. Okay. Do people have fish aquariums there?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. There, I've seen aquarium stores.
Oh, that's right. Remember the one in Loja?
There's a bunch in Loja.
Yeah.
Fish and things and stuff. I went in there looking for... Yeah. I was looking for airline, little silicone tubing for something totally unrelated, which is normal how I like build things. And there's another one, there's another big like water shop that just opened in Zaza. I don't think they have fish, but I think they have all like the pumps and things and like special equipment.
Not that I'm a TV watcher. Yeah. Oh yeah, you need a license to watch TV in the UK. We were just looking at that. That is the most ridiculous thing.
Your TV license. You got a license for that, mate? That's horrible.
Please don't do that.
I'll never do that again.
Thank you.
Where they like actively are enforcing going around like, we know how many people have a license on this block and this many people don't. We know your address and we can like see a TV in the window and we're going to prosecute you.
It's insane.
If you live in the UK, George Orwell was not an instruction manual. He was a very bright individual who wrote about the things that were coming that you should not let happen.
Right?
I don't know that there's an answer. I don't know that there's a fixing. Leave.
There are places where I think that the best answer is to leave.
Yeah, I just stuff comes up in the UK about what they're jailing people for. If you said something slightly negative online, Canada's having huge problems. Yeah, you have said something slightly against a thing, therefore you violated, it's usually a terrorism act or something like that. But they arrest people. They try to put them in jail for you have said a slightly not, pleasant or positive comment. You can only say pleasant and positive things now in some places. Wow.
The business here is shipping tropical fish. The problem I would have there is not many people keep tropical fish and there's no delivery services. I don't know how many people keep tropical fish.
I know there's enough in Loja that there is several stores
dedicated to that. So there has to be
that
enough.
are just tropical fish with fish.
And that's not talking about larger cities, which I'm sure just by population would have more. And as far as the delivery services, do you mean in country or out of country? Because I mean, if you're talking about like shipping live animals out of the country, I don't know about that. But within country, I don't.
Serbian Trega
problem.
Serbian Trega is pretty reliable and they're pretty quick. DHL is also pretty good. They exist all over.
In country, yeah, Serbian Trega would work.
Yeah, Serbian Trega.
I can't say that. It depends on what you're shipping, I guess.
But
I don't think they care.
No.
Serbian Trega.
There's also a robust bus system.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can ship by bus here.
Yeah, they just stick things on a bus and be like, "Here you go."
Yeah, and it's for a few dollars.
What did we get on a bus? We got xanthan gum on a bus.
and the bus agencies have like there's a whole room and it's like secure and they have shelves and it's like fully tracked, everything else. Since the buses are coming and going, every hour anyway, they just use them as like a UPS. But Serbian Trega, we've had stuff sent all over the country with them.
Yeah.
A few dollars.
Yeah.
So that's in country. Goofy bastard. Hi, Dan. I know that guy. If anyone else is watching, a guy up here, Dan, famous taco truck guy. Well, I mean, not yet, but he will be. Dan and I worked together for many years. In both, he worked for me and I worked for him, and it worked out both times. Like it was super enjoyable. But if you're ever in Maine in the future, he has a taco truck that he's going to finish because he has lots of free time to do such a thing.
Just like you have free time to finish all the things.
Yeah.
There's so much free time.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be able to ship to US from there. Well, I'm not sure, but probably not.
So let's see. Shipping out of here to the US is DHL. Now you get into weird import, export.
I don't.
I got nothing on that.
No, you could talk to Paul.
Paul would know.
Paul would definitely know. Paul Wilches would know.
Relocation Services.
Ecuador?
Yeah. Yeah. Paul Wilches, Wilches, Relocation Services, Ecuador. He does commercial stuff. He does private moves. He does everything coming and going from Ecuador.
You just ask him questions. He's a really nice guy.
He's a really nice guy. Speaks passable English.
My 18-year-old daughter would like to rent a food truck. How would you do that there? It wouldn't be so much a food truck here as like a food whatever you want. It could be a bicycle. It could be a...
Right. So
it's kind of great.
So what we see driving down the road, and I built this thing years ago called the executive staff car.
It'd be cool if we had it here.
It would be. I donated it somewhere to someone. It was the back end of a Yamaha scooter, and I welded it with some bearings to what was, I think, the rear seat of an old Chrysler minivan that I built a trailer axle under, put little like fenders on it and stuff, so two people could ride in this lovely like bench seat that held two people, and behind it was a scooter, and I would like steer it and drive it around. This is an executive staff car. Worked out really well. We took it to Burning Man and tore it all around on it. So here, those exist. People build them out of motorcycles, bicycles even, where the front is either sometimes just a delivery, like it's just like a big empty space with like sides on it, and they'll take stuff around. The motorcycle one, sometimes they'll build an entire like mini like restaurant thing on it, or they'll just do juices. They have a whole juice bar with like squeezers and a generator and a big like huge umbrella, and they just drive them around. It's like the miniest version of a food truck without the truck. It's like the insides of it. An actual food truck, oh man, an actual food truck would probably be a huge draw, because that was like a big luxury like truck with all of this equipment. That's and things. True. Like, it would probably go over huge.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, and here's the cool thing. You don't have all of the crazy regulations here for anything. There'll just be a random restaurant pop up, which is really just like a table on the side of the road with some ladies and some pots, and you're like, I don't know, it might be good.
Literally a folding table with a pot. Sometimes a sign.
Usually not a sign.
Sometimes.
And that's
some of those people. Some of those people I've seen show up like, and they, every evening for like a year, like just outside on a certain corner. The barrier to entry is really, really low. It's sort of whatever you want to bring. And honestly, fancy stuff that is not standard Ecuadorian cuisine, I think does really well. I know in Loja we knew of people that had one had a the beer place, gastropub, something like that. And just what would be your standard like gastropub in the US is like, yeah, it's whatever. Oh no, it's huge here. Especially draft beers, things like different little fancy foods, like hugely popular. Guy was doing really well. So bringing something interesting and new. We've definitely given away things that we've made to other people, and just wow face, like, oh my gosh, like what is that? Like, you never tasted that before? Flavors they've never tried. Just yeah, and they're and they're like, oh, try this. They'll run around the people around them like, taste this. Like, do you even know that person? That you just got to like take a bite out of the thing we gave you? Yeah,
bacon's a big hit here.
Bacon. The only good bacon that exists in southern Ecuador we make.
It's true. And that's not because they couldn't, it's just because they don't know that it exists.
It's not a cultural thing. Cured meats, not cultural.
Hard cheeses are not cultural.
Not so
it's
much.
Hot here.
Yeah, it's really hard to make a hard cheese. Where it's colder, sure.
Yeah, just not here. I'm trying looking at both comments on both devices. Making my head hurt. Yes, we are married. How long now?
Forever.
I know. Right?
I think we hit 10 years.
Well, 5 years married. Legally, officially.
Right.
Legally, officially.
Legally. Cow day. Sorry, that's how we know it.
Oh.
Because then, if I say it's cow day, it's December 18th.
That's accurate. Yes. Yes.
I can't remember the date we got married. I remember cow day. Cow day was just the day that they called us the cow.
No, you're wrong. That was not the day the cow showed up.
It was
several days after when I was still trying to process all the cow.
So she literally we had an appointment, takes off her apron, with her fancy clothes on underneath, like, let's go get married. We went down to the courthouse, we had our whole thing, and she comes back, she's like, okay, puts her apron back on, and continues.
And then we ground meat all night.
Who doesn't grind meat all night on their wedding night?
Oh boy, we're special people. Have you guys had any issues with altitude in some locations? Yeah, keto nearly killed me.
Yeah. So high altitude, and I think there was a smog component.
We also were having to wear masks.
Oh yeah.
So the combination of all of those things, I nearly just passed out and died.
She has weakish lungs, so it doesn't take much to cause a problem.
Yeah. No, altitude is a real thing. It's a problem.
Yeah.
So not where we are now.
No, we're at 1,000 meters, 3,000-ish feet. Meh. There's so much oxygen. It comes over the hill out of the Amazon and just blows over. It is some of the cleanest air and water that exists. As long as there's not fires, which
But otherwise, the only things we smell are the things that we do.
And and our sense of smell is come back strong. We'll tell you when the ants have decided to attack a certain vine up valley.
Oh, it's so bad. The leaf cutters.
The leaf cutters decide to eat
vine.
And we're and it just outgasses its natural when you cut vegetation, each one has its own particular odor. Yeah. Yeah. That exists.
Oh, no. Hang on. You're gonna have to look at chats for a second.
Oh. Yeah. Kids.
Sorry, I had too many things open.
We have two kids. One here, Eli, and you'll see him in the videos. He looks like a small troll parading around doing things in the background.
But to be fair, we always tell him to go do a job while we're doing a video. So he in
the early videos, I actually put an arrow to the little child walking around where it just says not a Sasquatch, and he'd be off behind us somewhere. He's 11.
Yeah.
And then in the States, Rowan, my son, who does not live with us. He lives in Washington. Hi, Rowan, if you're watching. He's there. He is 16 now. So two kids.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's alarming.
He is trying to get himself a vehicle.
That's so alarming.
We should all be alarmed. Hey, we're cute. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Which one of us is more cute?
You do have a pretty spiffy new haircut, so it might be you.
Spiffy haircut. All right. Yes. Formic acid. It's what makes ant bites hurt like the devil. You're good friends with Rowan.
Okay.
Spencer. So you're one of Rowan's friends?
Yeah.
And you found our feed? Huh.
Okay.
That's cool. Hi. I'm Rowan's dad. You probably haven't seen me before except in videos.
Just live on the internet.
That's neat.
That's cool.
I knew Rowan occasionally watched our videos. I guess he shared.
That's cool.
Oh. Yeah, he gave it to you. Sweet! Share it around. We're random gringos that live in Ecuador. Like, why isn't that interesting compared to all the other garbage on YouTube?
It's true.
Cornstarch. Yes. Do we eat cornstarch? We do eat cornstarch.
Occasionally.
Not
Super often.
No, we do eat more
Tapioca
starch, which is good in the gluten-free breads. We do make a cornbread from a very starchy white native corn that is very different, and it makes cornbread that is closer to cake. Is soft and sweet and wonderful and not crumbly and terrible like cornbread always was growing up. Like if you buy like the little cornbread kit at the grocery store to make cornbread, it's not that.
No.
It's delightful.
So good.
And smeared gently with a little bit of fresh strawberry jam that we used to get from the market is an incredible breakfast with some strips of bacon. We would drive to the market and she would pull out pieces of cornbread and put strawberry jam on it and feed it to me as we drove. And then she's like, "Do you want cornbread or bacon?" I'm like, "Why do you got to do this to me?" Like, yeah, I want, and I alternate with delicious strips of bacon and then little bits of cornbread with jam for our. It's like an hour drive to the market. It's good times. I wanted to tell you, black rubber pail.
I don't know.
Black rubber pail.
I.
One flat side. Like a bucket?
I don't know.
On buckets.
On buckets.
If you're moving here.
Man, bring buckets.
Bring a lot of freaking buckets.
Definitely not something that we ever thought.
The plastics here are garbage. They're Chinesium to
be fair, they're garbage most places. But I think they're worse here.
They're worse here.
There are no good options.
Use them, they fall apart and shatter. Leave them outside, they fall apart and shatter. Don't use them, take them out after a few months of sitting somewhere like perfectly preserved, they fall apart and shatter. Accidentally drop it, put a rock in it, shatter. All the plastics, we got these huge tubs that were for mining use that are, I don't know, they're huge.
Gigantic.
They're like 25 gallon, 50 gallon, and they sell a range of sizes, and it's a urethane, like brown Tortuga brand. Tortuga. And we mix dirt in those, and we have one brown bucket that we've done everything from processed coffee to mix cement to mix dirt to make daub for the walls, like the brown bucket. But it's huge, like
it's a turtle shell.
And the kid will wear it like a giant turtle shell, and he can almost completely cover himself with it.
That's how he walks up the hill.
Buckets here suck.
Yep. We found two by complete accident. The store that used to be a plastic store.
Yeah. And
they had them. I don't think they were supposed to have them. I think it was like a misdelivery. They didn't even have it in the system, and we got both of them. They're the only ones that were decent.
And even they're. I
mean, one has a crack now.
And those would be like in the U.S. like a medium grade, just like buckets you could buy from any farm store, like nothing fancy. And we treat it so gently, and one of those was cracked.
Yeah. They're all just blown apart. It's terrible. And it's important too. Like we need buckets.
Yeah.
White pails will break apart. Black rubber ones are better.
Sure, if we could find them.
We can't find them.
We can't find them.
That's the problem.
So I think the flat-sided like rubber pails were like for horse feed stores would carry those for like horses, and they would hang against
like a stall.
I would love some.
Yeah, they don't do that.
Yeah. Pots, the other thing. Pots for plants. Very, very limited selection, very expensive, very low quality.
So we use the soup pots.
Yeah, so do a lot of other people.
We call them soup pots. I don't know if anybody else calls them soup pots. Oh, look, there's something in a soup pot sitting here. My goodness, we use them. They're literally everywhere.
It's a liter. It's polypropylene. If you go somewhere and they give you soup, it comes in one of these if it's to go.
It has a lid. We use it for everything.
Yeah, I thought we were being clever, like putting holes in using it for a pot. No, everybody, that's what's available.
Yeah. And we pop holes in it for our pots.
Yeah, pop everything. Many, many holes if you're using it for pots.
Yep. Thanks for showing your property. Question, is there brownouts in Zamora area?
There's no brownouts that I know of.
No.
There is blackouts, cuts.
There were. I don't think there are anymore.
I think they're gone. And that's because the predominant 80+% of the country runs on hydropower. There wasn't enough rain to fill the rivers, to fill the reservoirs, to run the hydro plant. That's it. You don't have the energy in the tank to run it. So they had to cut power because there wasn't enough water, which was some say a 1 in 100-year event. And the guy from the gold mine, they have historians and weather people on staff and all this, and they're like, yeah, it's a 100-year event. And I'm like,
you know how many 100-year events we've had in the last couple of years?
The whole world's having a lot of 100-year and 1,000-year events, and they're starting to stack up.
5,000-year events.
You'll see it again in the next 5 years. So no, mostly the power is pretty good. Now, my buddy who's down in Zumba has issues out there. Now, Zumba's way...
It's the very southern tip of Ecuador.
I'd call it the arse end.
But it's not.
In reality, it's the comb of the chicken. Look at a map. You see Ecuador. It's an upside-down chicken. You can't ever unsee that. I'm sorry. Once you understand it's an upside-down chicken, and you look at the comb on the chicken, that's Zumba. Anyway, he has power surges, and they had the same blackout problems. So he went and he got himself a big lithium battery, kind of like mine. He got himself an inverter. Unfortunately, he was still having, when the power came back on, he would have, I don't think he had brownouts, but he had surges where the voltage would go high and the inverter would chop the feed and switch to battery for 30 seconds at a time, and then it would go back, and it would stay that way for a while. But something was messing with his power out there. Now they're way out of town in a super low. Oh yeah, I don't know how the microphone's still going.
I don't know either.
If we go quiet, the microphone's dead, and we're gonna have to call it as a.
And we'll just wave awkwardly.
Yeah. Yeah, Zumba's a rough place as far as cartel activity, crime, things. There's
being close to a
there's
border.
No more big cities. It's got some issues. Pretty. There's nice land out there, but you're pretty far from everything except for the things that you don't want.
If you had 2 weeks to vacation in Ecuador, where would you go? Loja seemed to have ideal weather, but Cuenca had a lot of interesting history and architecture.
Steve, first, where are you from? What are you used to? What do you like? Are you from Florida? You're not going to like it. Are you from Colorado? You might like it. So Loja is cool. Cuenca, also very cool. Elevation. Look at your elevation, and that tells you a bit about what the temperature is going to be. Loja on a hot day, gets into the 70s.
Yeah, but it also has incredibly high UV, and it'll just burn you to a crisp.
We go outside in Loja, and literally you just feel you feel the UV sear your skin minutes, and we were pink. Wow.
It's not normal for us.
And we literally had to put on sunscreen to go out and do anything out in the yard, to go sunburn all the time. So we moved here, and we're 1,000 meters lower in elevation. The moisture in between us and Loja in the air filters quite a bit. We don't use sunscreen anymore. I am as white as white can be.
Pretty white.
And I occasionally will get a little bit of a sunburn, back of neck thing. It's gone in a day.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So it's kind of a big difference. But Aloha's cool. Like, bring a jacket, bring a windbreaker, bring a light raincoat.
Okay. So like cool weather and speak almost no Spanish.
You like cool weather and you speak no Spanish.
I don't know. I think Aloha would be good.
Aloha might be good if you like cool weather.
We didn't speak much Spanish either when we started out there, and everybody was pretty nice to us.
Try. You'll find quite a few people that speak English. They teach it in the schools. Little kids, when they see someone who's white, will practice the word they learned that day by yelling it across the road at you. I always try and reciprocate. They're so pleased.
Well, it's it depends on what you want to do. I mean, are you someone who enjoys the city, or do you want to go, I don't know,
sure,
on some sort of crazy random adventure? That would definitely change where you want to go.
Yeah, Aloha's.
I think Aloha would be a good base of operation.
You can start Aloha
for a vacation.
Cuenca is definitely a lot bigger. There's more things.
Yeah, there's definitely more
stuff.
to do.
There's a lot more of everything.
But there is also a little bit more crime. Not as much as Quito or Guayaquil or somewhere on the coast. I would completely avoid the coast entirely. I would avoid Quito except the airport if you have to. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, and I have been told that even Loja has like just crimes of things, pickpocket stuff, has picked up in recent years, and people who've lived there for a long time are like, this is not like what it used to be. How does that compare to other places? It's hard to say.
Yeah, it depends on what you're used to.
I've been told not to keep my phone in my back pocket. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Do we hand grow our food? Yeah. Try to.
Yeah.
We're working really hard.
Hand, foot, elbow, thigh. We use all the things. She's out there with a shovel. She will wangle every muscle in her body. It's like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's actually in the middle of planning Pina Hill.
Pina Hill's killing me.
Yeah. Well, it's like. Yeah.
It seems like a
here
good idea
and
at the time.
here, depending on where you're at.
And then sometimes it does this.
But once you have pineapples growing, pineapples growing.
Yeah, I don't have to be on the hill. I
you don't
just
have to be on the
dig on the hill.
Leave them alone, and you come back in a year, and there's a free pineapple, and then you eat it, and you might get another one another year, or you replant it, and then you just sort of keep it going, and now you have free pineapples every week for life.
That's pretty cool. I'm excited. Seems like a potter would make good money making plant pots. It's true.
The kid and I have been talking recently about how to build himself a kick wheel, and then at least a rudimentary temporary kiln until we can get something bigger.
Because we want
we want a pottery studio.
Yeah. We all want that.
Our whole mountain is clay. We live on a lump of clay that is so big you could build a bowl to hold the earth. Like it's
so much
there's
clay.
Different colors of clay, there's different consistencies of clay, there's sandy clay, there's pure clay, there's white clay. It's clay. How far do you dig down? You just there's topsoil, maybe mix, clay, and it goes on forever. We have a big hole somebody dug here. It's like, I don't know, 10 feet deep. Clay. You go to where they cut the road in, and you can see where they've, 60 feet in some places where they just chopped the mountain to put a road. Clay.
So much clay.
Yep. There's actually people at the market that sell the old traditional hand fired bowls and skillets and cooking pots and things. At some point we're gonna have some money, and I'm gonna get some to try them out. People swear by them.
Yeah. John says, "Oh man, I never saw the chicken before." No, you can't unsee it, can you?
Sorry.
I know we saw that really early on. It's an upside down chicken.
Yep.
And
then so you tell people, they're like, "Oh, where are you?" And you're like, "Oh, chicken butt." They're like, "Oh, okay, right there." It's just the fastest kind of visual graphical reference now.
Okay, in reference to what would we do for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I'm not too adventure seeking. I'm a fairly dull guy. I appreciate how genuine and accessible you are. Thanks for the information. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, we try.
We're just our normal dorky selves.
This is just our normal selves. So many people put on like a whole persona and a thing in YouTube. YouTube has become a clown show. The internet in general used to be a place where people would share information and have like user groups and things and stuff. And
The
whatever you were
forum.
doing, the forums.
The good old forums.
Yeah, back in the day. And you could find all sorts of amazing like other people things, and you like whatever like you were into. You're like, man, I'm just trying to figure out this part on my Toyota that like this and that, and people are like, oh yeah, that's a common failure. You got to do this thing. Now you just search and it's garbage.
It's true.
And it's garbage to like try to sell you crap, and then it's just more garbage and more things and more sponsored this, and like none of it's even useful anymore. And YouTube's become just, you look at like whatever's the popular and the trending, and you're like, does humanity need this? Really? Or like is that it? Is that we need to just zombie out and just be entertained by absolutely zero like value entertainment? Or could we also go back to the time of like you could learn stuff and be entertained and enjoy it and learn about walruses from Mr. I don't remember his name, Bodie McBoatface guy. God, what's his name?
I have no idea where you've gone.
The famous announcer guy.
The
nature show.
Oh no, that guy.
Anyway,
I can hear his voice.
There's like, as a society, maybe we've just like gotten lazy into this, and the kids are especially bad with it, where they just like zone out watching, like, I built a swimming pool in my living room. Oh, like, really? We need another one of these shows? Okay.
We try not to do those things. Dan says he'll send you pictures of, what were we talking about? Oh, God. Oh, were we talking about the kiln? I don't know what we were talking about.
Yes.
What were we talking about?
Kiln.
Was that
Kick wheel?
it? Kick wheel. Is that one of those?
Send all of it.
I don't know what we were talking about.
Just send all of it. Thanks, Dan. Dan's a great guy. Also, an incredibly talented artist, and the man who taught me about raku pottery up in Colorado. Took me to festivals up there. Very fond memories of raku pottery.
Oh, he says kick wheel. Okay, kick wheel. Yes, please.
Yeah. And
Eli will be very pleased with that.
Whatever primitive kiln that we can make with a zero budget of what's out here, which like is probably mud bricks and things that, like, we have wood, we have clay, we have a little boy with energy.
He needs a project.
Yeah.
With clay soil and lots of sun, I'm surprised tobacco isn't a big crop in that area.
I saw one.
I know some people who grow it.
And it ended up in a project that I was doing, an agriculture project, in a compost pile. We had to build a compost to try to build the soil, because you have to get the organics back in. The high UV just destroys. It just bakes the organics right out, and then you end up with a bacterially dominant soil without all the fungals. But a tobacco just boom, like, I don't know, bird pooped it there. It was amazing. And I've seen tobacco growing in like South Carolina. I was there, in my youth, and like, so I've seen them. This one was huge. Like, it was just, I didn't realize what it was at first. People had to like tell me. I'm like, oh yeah, like it might.
We probably would.
It probably would.
Purpose for it.
We did. There was some CBD testing that we did out there, which I maybe have extensive experience in growing. That did really well as well. Now, you do have to do some tricks because there's only 12 hours of light, but the tests came out swimmingly, and I had a whole plan for direction. They decided to sell it. I don't know why my screen flashed. Anyway, so a possibility, but there's a ton of permits involved with that.
Yeah.
Kick wheel. Nice.
Yeah, kick wheel.
Nice.
Do you have cacao? Yeah.
Still have my Uva Papa shirt too. I keep it away because I'll just destroy it like everything else.
Yeah, you think it's like a special shirt you can't wear.
I have a whole box of memorabilia shirts. Cacao, yes. We have native cacao growing here. This might be the birthplace of cacao. People argue about where exactly it is. It could literally be the corner of our hill 50 feet behind us. Nobody's really sure where it started, but we are in the epicenter of it. There is wild cacao that exists around us and on the hills. It is delicious. I've also learned that that is not normal, that cacao as a fruit is not normally delicious.
Like the fruit part.
The actual fruit, like you pull it out and you can eat the fruit off. Ours is like this most incredible, intoxicating fruit punch combo, citrusy, unbelievable flavor. And then I'm reading about it, and I got all these huge things about processing cacao. We may do something with chocolate in the future. And there's notes in there about actually it's not that good of a tasting thing anywhere else. I'm like, what strain do we have here? Developing fine cacao versus commercial cacao. The bread basket, yeah, okay. And I told the kid about the bread basket kiln, which is great. A, I don't have bread baskets, but I could use rebar mesh. B, I don't have enough of the insulation, which is a specialty item and it's not available here. I have a tiny little piece that I have left over from the coffee maker, and I'm not donating that.
No, we got to keep that in case we need it.
It's not enough. I would need more. So I have to be able to build a kiln out of what's here, the way the natives did.
Mud.
I have mud.
Stick.
I have rock. I have stick. I have other stick and other mud.
Got nothing else. That's how we're making a house. We gotta be able to make that work. How are the annual taxes on your property? I asked since I pay mine in January.
Wait. Where do you pay your property taxes?
Well, he's in Guayaquil. So.
Okay, good. So it's still Ecuador. It's nothing.
What is it? 12? Is it 12? Something silly.
I went down and paid them before. I actually have to pay them again. Then we have some money.
True.
They're late, and they were late the other time. And I went down. I'm thinking, oh, this big thing is taxes. Something I get up there, and the guy's like, it's not. He's like $12. I'm like, okay. Normally in Ecuador, when you pay it, like you pay this window, you pay that window, you pay that window thing. There's all these like little. Then you go to the bank, and then you like make a deposit to this thing. And then you go over here with your receipt, and then you pay another thing. It's always convoluted, and then I'm like, is that it? Like that can't. That's just like the opening volley of that. Just buys me a ticket to pay my tax, right? And then they point at the next one. I'm like, oh, okay. And that's the fire department. It was like another $2 or $3. And I'm like, where else do I go? And they're like, no, that's it. Go home. Okay, like for the year, this paper says I have no more taxes to pay for the year. And, yeah, both properties, rural properties, without houses, things, it's less than $20. Yeah. Kind of awesome. I said thank you and
thank you.
You remember the little dance Snoopy used to do on the top of his like little dog house? His like little feet go. Yeah, I did one of those, and then like out the door went.
Oh geez. Tips on staying in a long-term romantic relationship.
Yeah, pick the right partner.
That's what I was gonna say. Look at
that. Like the same things. Or at least not, don't like opposite things. Like when we see the thing online of like, how do I convince my wife
to anything
that we want to go homestead and be off grid?
But whatever you start with, how do I convince my, nope.
Is she the kind that likes to just like shop and things and something and have all the conveniences and like you go do your thing with like your woodsiness out there and like we'll watch? You may not share the same dream. Yeah. We shared a similar dream. We want to like go and do this thing and then have like, this crazy adventure and have animals and have a farm and like to live in a very natural, healthy way to take foodies and like take it to such a high level that we eat certain things that are almost unattainable to the average person. She just did a post about the Iberico hams, which can be thousands of dollars. We eat it every day. Like it's the same quality. We have gotten to the point of raising the pigs, feeding them the right food, butchering them the right way, curing them the right way, smoking them the right way, cooking it to make that end product. That yes, the sandwiches that we eat should be $150 a piece if we were to buy that quality of meat from people who did the same thing, or we just do it ourselves.
Is that the key to a long-term romantic relationship?
Did I just relate it to pork? You get a kick out of that too, don't you?
Makes me really happy. The man who, when we met, said that he hated bacon, and I was not allowed to ever cook it in his house, and that was it. That was it.
Yep. No, I hated bacon. I hated it with a deep passion. Although most bacon is gross.
It's true. But to be fair, I did not convince you to like bacon. You came to that realization all on your own.
And now we're, raising pigs, and we're just it's life takes weird turns. Don't be too stuck in it.
But realistically, I don't have a lot of tips.
Yeah.
Just you have to pick the right person.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not gonna work if you don't have the right person. That's kind of all I've got to say there.
I have about 300 memes stored on my iPad that probably relate to this, of like when you like someone wakes you up in the middle of the night and are like, I know you were asleep, but the ribs are done, and you sit in bed eating ribs at 3 a.m. because that's when they were done.
Yep.
And you both agree with that,
yeah,
you're with the right person.
It's true. It's true. Oh gosh, where are we? I don't even know. How old are you? You're so old. Oh, sorry.
50. She's less.
I'm less. How much less?
I want to say you're 35.
Good job. Look at that. It's really easy on certain years. This is a very easy year. 10 years together, 5 years married. You're 50. I'm 35. It's all very even this year.
We're just going to hold that for now.
I like it. I am 41, and I have been with my wife since I was 20. Wow. To be honest with who you are and what you want out of life, even when it changes, love each other better than you love yourself. Oh, I like that. Yeah. To be honest is probably the most important.
If you have to lie to make it through a daily existence,
that's
not going to work.
Even if you have to lie to yourself, that might be worse.
That is common. Yeah.
Yep.
You have to read these. I can't.
No.
I can't see that.
You can read. It's very hard to read on your phone.
Yeah.
My goodness.
No, Dan knows about the bacon. I
didn't convince him, I swear.
I literally, I remember I had a girlfriend once who wanted to make bacon. I'm like, that's cool. There's a portable camp stove. You can go out the back of the house to the patio and you can cook it in the rain, not in my kitchen. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I hate bacon. I don't want the smell of bacon in my house. And
you told me this in the very beginning, and I still stayed. No, what I was thinking.
I actually was going to go to college in a dual major of bioengineering. And, bioengineering was actually engineering, because it has the word engineering, which was mathematics, and then biology. You didn't really need the mathematics, but you used engineering in the word, so now you have to have it. It was a dual major because bioengineering didn't exist as a real major, but they added it to the catalog for me. And then they asked me why, and I'm like, well, world domination. And they're like, you have to be more specific than that. And I'm like, okay, I want to go into bioengineering to engineer a type of fungus that attacks tobacco, because I hate it. I just hate tobacco and smoke in general. Therefore, when the crops get ruined, the first thing they'll do is feed it to the pigs. And then that will actually cause the pigs to become inedible, which is a huge side effect, but it will be a continuous thing that affects their genome. And then therefore, pigs become inedible. And in one fell swoop, I have managed to eliminate both cigarettes from my life, just because I hate them, and bacon, because I thought it was gross. I didn't.
You're a little mad scientist.
I didn't continue down that road.
Which is good, because
people are like,
pork is so good.
Yeah. But if you've ever been stuck on a cross-country flight back when smoking was allowed on airplanes and you were allergic to cigarette smoke, you can understand at least half that equation.
Oh. There are chocolate factories everywhere in Ecuador. All provinces claim theirs is the best. The same with coffee. It's so true.
I've had some really good chocolate in Ecuador. I've had a lot of chocolate that had incredible precursor material that wasn't processed as good as it could have been and could be even better.
Same with coffee.
I've had a lot of really terrible coffee in Ecuador. Ecuador should have some of the greatest coffee in the world, and it does, but it also has problematic coffee, which makes it the average coffee. If we have to go buy some coffee, it's bad. Like it's
I made a lot of faces today about my coffee.
the cheapest Folgers off-brand generic coffee in the States is probably better than what's available here. Bug damage, huge problem. Fungus, mold, huge problem. Bad roasting, huge problem. Grind incorrect, huge problem. Set on the shelf for so long, it was like might as well just be dirt. Huge problem. I like they add up. I love coffee. I think it's great. I think Ecuador could produce some of the greatest coffees in the world, and I think they have produced them. I even know one of the winning like coffee guys way down who actually won, like Ecuador's like coffee thing. Totally like cut above, does everything right, but he's this big in a sea of bad coffee. He also sells it for like $30 a pound, and it's not local. So one, I can't afford it. Two, I couldn't find it if I did.
Yeah.
I would like to try all of it at some point and bebop around and like be able to experience, what people consider the best in Ecuador and really get a good grasp on what that really is. I had the ability in the United States to order coffees in a green state from anywhere in the world because there's companies there that do that, and I could then roast it myself freshly, grind it properly, brew it properly, and taste it as good as could be done from the green coffee beans. So I got to experience what a lot of people never do outside of a country to where that kind of commerce exists. I can coffee from Nicaragua is totally different from Papua New Guinea. It's totally different from India. It's different from Mexico, from Brazil. They're all very different, but also strangely unique to the country. Like you get to the point where you can taste the place, and you can be like, oh, that's an Ethiopian Yirgacheffe, probably this valley, like this side, like within, like you can geoguess it within a certain distance. I'd like to.
Yeah. I'd like to grow our own. That's the goal.
Yeah. It's just slow.
It's so slow. But so is a lot of the things we want. I mean, we've got avocado plants that are like this tall, and that's going to be how long until we get a fruit?
Yeah.
Very long?
Years.
So long?
Now, we have more coffee drying. We'll do more of that. We have to, yes, I'm a huge coffee snob, and I will only get snobbier. And it will only ever get better. And once it does, I'm I really enjoy the coffee. So we'll get to it one day. I'm actually building another little thing. It's a corn crusher, of all things, which also could be used to pulp coffee so that we could, if we ever had enough of a batch, I could do a proper wet process, a fermentation, clean the cherries off.
Yeah, we've got, our 2 little coffee plants are loaded with cherries.
A natural process dried coffee is very difficult here because it's just moist, and we don't have enough sun to just power dry it. And I don't have dedicated facilities to do drying. So we'll have to go to a wet process. Yeah. Anyway, we probably got to call it.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised that our microphone is still microphoning.
That's the longest
I don't understand
that microphone has ever gone.
It usually gets us an hour, and we're over 2.
Hour 15. Whack, cuts off. And we're over 2. So
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. So we're going to have to call it unless there's any emergency questions.
Emergency questions.
if it's super important. Like,
Gosh.
but otherwise, we're gonna call it a night.
Yeah.
But I appreciate everybody
Yeah.
joining us. I have a lot of fun with these lives. I think they're neat.
It's fun.
It's fun. Eventually, we'll get a proper studio. You'll be upstairs with screen and like a desk and one of those
That'd be so
big
cool.
fuzzy microphones like the dudes have.
That'd be so fancy.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It'd just be fun. I enjoy the heck out of it. So anyway, thank you guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you for the next one.